I'll tell you this, because if you've done any amount of interviewing, you have been lied to.
Boy, is that right. Hey everybody, welcome to this video. And I'm really very excited for the guest that we have today. This is a good friend of mine, Oisín Grogan. And Oisín is from Melbourne, Australia. And I'm going to let him talk in just a second. And he has the coolest accent, right? Like the Aussies do. But what we're going to be talking about today, a recent survey was done of Tampa Bay area CEOs. And by survey, the number one problem that they are trying to solve is talent recruitment and retention. So I'm going to let Oisín tell you a little bit about him, and then we're going to dive into this talent recruitment and retention problem that Tampa Bay businessmen are having. So tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, firstly, g'day.
There we go. That's a good start.
That's right. Yeah, and my name's actually Irish, so it's actually pronounced Oisín.
Ah.
Yeah, but I've been in Australia most of my life. So yes, I've been in business over 20 years. I've dealt in small, medium, large businesses. And for the last 12, 13 years, I've been coaching and consulting and mentoring. Mm-hmm. And that's aggressive growth, all sorts of issues, sometimes fixing companies. And yeah, I had to get very, very good at handling personnel and hiring.
Yeah.
Because if you set a business going like that, what do you need to do? You need to get more people.
Exactly.
Or if you're streamlining a business, well, sometimes some of those people you don't really want come,
mm-hmm.
and we have to replace them. So it was essential to my results, adding hundreds
Perfect.
and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of growth.
Nice.
Was handling the people and helping my clients handle the people.
Now, I really love the system that you've developed. It's very simple. It's very clean. And I want you to explain to the viewers kind of what is that has evolved for you over the last 10, 20 years and how you help your clients.
Right. Well, simplicity is always what works.
Yeah.
You know, that's we've discussed that before.
Yeah.
But basically it comes down to this. When you're dealing with a business, achieving your purpose and your staff, and that's hiring or retaining them, you need work.
Work has to get done.
Work has to get done. But what is work?
Right.
So I found some of the most complex problems with my clients would be solved by cutting in at the definitions of things mm-hmm. and the simplicities. Now, the definition of work is mental or physical activity in order to achieve a result.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
That sounds real.
Fair enough. You know,
yeah.
A result. But here's the question. What sort of result?
Right.
There's different sort of results, isn't there?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could have a valuable result. You could have an extra or a wasteful result, something that's like double work, or
mm-hmm.
or you could have a destructive result. So
those are the results, and those are kind of the categories that you've kind of broken your system down into.
That's right. So there is three mm-hmm. types of work.
Mm-hmm.
There's valuable work, which I call Vwork.
Mm-hmm. There's
extra work, which is X work,
mm-hmm.
and then there's destructive work, which is D work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if you look at it, that's all you're ever going to get out of people. You get something
right.
valuable, wasteful, or destructive.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, of course, flows down to types of people. Some people specialize in valuable work.
Yeah.
They're the people you want to hire and retain, obviously, right?
Right.
So I call these Vwork people. And they have a set of traits
mm-hmm.
and characteristics. And if you know what they are, then you can know how to find them, attract them, and also retain them, and also enhance them.
Mm-hmm.
And
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's the same for X work people. So they have a set of traits and characteristics. If you know what they are, you
mm-hmm.
know how to enhance them to a V work person, or maybe you need to move them out of your team because they're not adding value.
So the X work people create extra work. So then they're going to have to change and become a V work employee.
Yeah.
Or they're going to have to move on.
Well, as you know, like a business is a team.
Yeah.
If the team isn't producing, it can't get money for its products or services from the clients.
Yeah.
So letting a person remain in your team, not produce, is actually stealing or taking from all the others and the clients, actually. So it's the fairest thing for everyone.
Well, and then that's also not fair to the V work staff, because the X work or the D work employee, they're covering for.
Yeah.
And they're become overworked, disgruntled, reflects badly on the CEO for not being a leader and handling them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, we talk about retention.
Yeah.
If you have too many extra work people
mm-hmm.
in your business, they'll actually annoy and irritate the Vwork people, because Vwork people like to get stuff done. They like to add value.
Yeah.
And if they're prevented or it takes too long, you could actually upset them, and that would be one of the reasons why people leave.
So they
companies.
can just leave.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and then D workers, destructive work people.
Yeah.
Well, they really, really upset your company. I mean, they loss of profits, big problems with clients. They can poison.
Right.
And your business, poison your staff.
And so then they also will drive out the Vwork staff.
Oh, that would be their main target.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so now most every sane CEO or business owner would want to know what are the characteristics of these Vwork employees, and how do we find them? What do they like? How do we keep them? How do we recruit? How do we train? And I know that's like a really broad subject.
Exactly.
But let's just kind of laser in on some of their characteristics and what they like.
Right. Well, a Vwork person likes to help. I know that's so simple. I know.
Right.
But every form of work is a form of help. Valuable work, I should stress.
Right.
Right. Because D work ain't help. Right.
Right.
But Vwork is helpful. So my first company was a cleaning company. Now we were cleaning toilets.
Right.
But when you look at that, it's a form of help.
It is, totally.
It helps in many ways we don't discuss.
Right.
So they're willing to help and help you as the owner, the fellow staff, and the customer.
The customer.
Yeah. So of course they're easier to train.
Right.
They're easier to keep them happy. It's easy for many things because they're willing.
And they don't complain.
They don't complain as much, and if they are complaining, it's probably to fix something so they can do more.
Right.
It's actually
so their complaints, they're not just complaining for the joy of complaining. If they have a complaint, they should be listened to, address their complaint so they can help more, and be happy.
That's right. And when they complain, they'll probably also give you some sort of solution with the complaint. Like, we've got this problem here. We're losing some clients because of this process.
Yeah.
I think we should do this.
Here's my idea on how to solve it.
You got it. So
love it.
So Vwork people deal in solutions.
Yeah.
Xwork people deal in problems. So.
And this is interesting because you and I have just recently had this type of a conversation.
That's right.
And in my book, Fun at Work, the main premise of the entire book is what's the basic purpose of the company? Why does the company exist? And so I have this whole chapter. The purpose of the company is not to make the CEO rich so he can buy a jet.
That's right.
If the CEO wants to be rich and buy a jet, that's fine. But then the basic purpose of the company has to be focused outward. Who is the customer, and what problem are we going to help them solve?
That's right.
So in my basic purpose chapter, I talk about help, help, help. So the whole idea here is the basic purpose of the company has to be to help the customer solve a problem. And I even have an exercise in the book, which is a very simple exercise, but I've had some major business owners really have some revelations. So the exercise is the basic purpose of the company is to help blank who live in blank achieve blank by providing blank.
Okay.
And so the basic purpose of the company is to help that target market who lives in this geographic area achieve the solution to their problem. And this is what we're going to provide. And that's the basic purpose. And so now probably I would guess during an interview then, when you're looking for more Vwork people, you would suggest that the CEO sit down and just kind of lay out the purpose of the company, because that's what I have always done when I'm hired.
Yeah.
And so is that kind of like one of the key strategies here for finding Vwork people?
Well, you definitely need to know it.
Yeah.
Whether you lay it out in its entirety. Now, if you're doing a high level hire, like a partner or something like that, yes.
Right.
100%. But if we're talking at a lower level hire, maybe you wouldn't go into so much detail, and the CEO might not even be doing the hiring, right?
Right.
However, you need to know it. The person doing it needs to know it. Because what I define as an ideal candidate for a company, there's three things.
Okay.
Right? There's one, they're a Vwork person.
Yep.
Two, they're a fit for the role.
Right.
Three, guess what it is?
They want to help.
No, fit for the company.
Oh, so that they actually are going to fit into the company culture.
Yes, which and culture derives from basic purpose.
Right. Right.
So if they're interested in nothing but, I don't know, just making money, and your purpose is to help and benefit, and then, of course, we all make lots of money.
Right.
They don't fit already.
Right.
Because they're just too money motivated.
Well, and you probably address this, but what I've seen in some candidates is I lay out kind of the purpose of the job, maybe not the broad purpose of the company, but this is the purpose of the job. This is what the activity entails. This is how it relates to the overall purpose of the company, etc. And then immediately, well, what's the pay? What are the benefits?
Yeah.
How much vacation do I get? You know, I've been in the industry for blah, 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 and I really expect blah, somebody, and all of a sudden it's all about them. Yeah, for me, it's kind of like end of interview.
Yeah, well, that's an ex-work person trait.
Right.
Because Vwork people are interested in you and your company and the customers. Ex-work people are interested in themselves and what they can get.
Right.
Now, we're all productive people here. Most CEOs are incredibly productive and management leaders. That's why they're at the top.
Yep.
I don't care what anyone says and all the rah-rah.
Absolutely.
People at the top normally deserve to be there.
Yeah, they've worked their way up.
Their asses off, actually, and they make stuff happen.
Yeah.
They make
you can count on them to help the customer and make it go right.
Yeah, come up with solutions, all that, So,
it's just too simple.
Yeah, I know. So that's what your people coming into the company need to be supporting that. They need to be pushing a purpose. And Vwork people inherently know that if I add value and I help, well, I'll get, it just comes back, doesn't it? You're going to get paid. I mean, as long as you're dealing with another Vwork person, people, and that's most people.
Right. Okay, so then for our viewers, if we want to boil this down into just something simple, they want to find a Vwork person that is going to come in, they're going to work hard, they're going to be concerned about getting the result for the customer. What would you tell them, like 1 or 2 or no more than 3 basic things in an interview? What do they do?
Okay. Well, one of the simplest things you can do is to ask for Vwork results.
Okay.
All right. And
like what are their previous results?
Yeah, what are their valuable work results they've done in the past? And I'll tell you this, because if you've done any amount of interviewing, you have been lied to.
Boy, is that right?
Exactly. The problem is, like,
you hired them on Friday, they start on Monday, and by Thursday you're like, can I have the person back that I interviewed on Friday?
No, that's the interview person. They don't exist in the interview. Yeah, I call that the mask, right? So the person sort of like grumps in there, they having a bad life maybe or something like that.
Then they put the mask on for the interview.
Fantastic. Yeah. And they say all the right things and so on, and then off it goes.
Okay, so you want to know during that first interview what's their production record from the past?
It's one of the simplest things to ask, because you can't really lie about it that easily. Okay. Like, people will try.
So what's the question that you asked that just like pierces right through to that?
Well, let's say it was a salesperson. I mean, that's probably an easy one. But let's take something else. Let's take a receptionist.
Okay.
So what was the output? What was the result that you produced in the reception role in your last place?
Well, I answered the phone, and when the phone call came in, I'd route it to the CEO or the vice president. Yeah, that's kind of what a receptionist does.
Yeah, no, that's right. Okay, but let's look at what's the actual finished thing that you're paid for. That was what you did. So to give you an example of that, say a baker. Yeah, a baker is a baker. Yeah. They do baking and they produce bread. So as a receptionist, what was the sort of bread that you produced? Right, you did all this.
So I answered the phone and tried to be friendly.
Great.
Not exactly what you're looking for.
No, it's not. But it gives you an idea. Because true, like the highest Vwork producers can tell you exactly what their output will be. And then there's a scale, right? So we have super high Vwork at the top. Yeah. And then we have, less and less percentage. Yeah. And then we get down to sort of more X work, so more wastage, maybe some V work. And then we get down to the nasty dark place called just D work, right?
Well, and
So people are somewhere on that scale, I guess. So,
I ran across a V work person, like really one of the most amazing people over the telephone last week. I have a Corvette, and it has OnStar, which is Chevrolet's tracking. If the airbags go off, they call you. Are you okay? And my credit card had expired, so I called to just renew the card. And I'm just chatting with this lady, and she goes, "I love my job." I save lives every day. I'm like, whoa. She goes, yeah, people get lost, or people are in an accident, or the weather's really bad and they're scared. And so I get them to a safe place. I save lives every day. I'm like, whoa. I mean, that's a Vwork person squared.
Who fits the job.
Totally.
And obviously fits the company.
Absolutely.
So if you have those three things in place, you have almost no problems. Or even if there is a problem, Vwork people tend to not make one for you, even if they, leave or move state or something like that.
Well, I have to tell you something interesting. I said, you know what? You're so good at your job, I'll bet you're a supervisor. She says, oh, no, I would never want to do that job.
Right.
All they do is they run problems, and the employees aren't happy or disgruntled customers. I love my job. I get to sit here in my cubicle and I save lives every day, and it's perfect employee.
For that role.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful example, because sometimes people, talk about retention.
Yeah.
You talk about people not working out. You could still have a Vwork person.
Yeah.
You take that person, put him into supervisor.
No.
Do you think they'd stay?
They would hate going to work, and they would leave and go somewhere else
where they could do what they're doing.
Where they could do what they're doing right now and save lives every day, or help people every day.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's really a good. Those three things are critical.
Yeah, and you can look at any failed hire, and you can assess it against those 3 points, and you'll find something is out. Now, one other thing I just wanted to go back to. We're talking about interviews, right, and people lying in interviews, right, or at least embellishing. So if we talk about results, okay, so let's go to a salesperson. It's probably the simplest. So, okay, I've asked people actually, or salespeople, what was your result? What's the Vwork, outcome? And some have trouble answering. Well, I do this, I go to meetings, I do this, I do that. But of course, a lot of them can say, I close profitable deals with a deposit down or something like that. Right? That's the actual thing you can pay a salesperson for. But here's the thing: you can check into that. It's much harder to lie about results because they exist in the real world. They're tangible.
So you can make them request some sort of a report.
That's
you have your last quarterly report.
Exactly. Within whatever
your commission was based on, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or if you're a partner, who's a gung ho, accountant, he's good. Show us your profit and loss. Show us.
I love it.
I mean, it's doesn't matter what he said. Just show us.
I love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's very.
Now, this was recruitment. So the survey was recruitment and retention. So we've covered the recruitment issue just kind of in a nutshell. And I want to spend just a few minutes here for our viewers about the retention aspect. I definitely have some feelings about that, because my view is that if you have a valuable employee who leaves the company and just kind of leaves you high and dry, all right, it's real easy to get upset with them. You can blame your competitors for stealing them away from you or whatever. But as far as retention in your Vwork system, what do you recommend, and how do you help your clients retain these Vwork employees? Right.
Well, first of all, hire Vwork people. Like
number one.
Firstly, yeah. Second, one of the things that is so commonly, like almost every small or medium business I've ever been into, is that they don't clearly define the roles and the outputs and then clearly measure them. So, it's very easy for a business owner to say my staff are no good or whatever, but have you actually told them what their job is? Have you told them what the target is?
Right.
What, if they turn up, they've got to do something.
Right.
What's the target? Now, the target is the Vwork result. It's the output. If that's not clear, and it is not clear in most companies, it really isn't.
Right.
And then we don't measure it very clearly.
Right.
How can they tell if they're hitting the target?
Sort of like playing a game. I know you all in Australia love rugby. Can you imagine?
And Australian rules football, mate.
There we go. But can you imagine going to a contest and the scoreboard is off?
There's no scoreboard.
There's no scoreboard.
Yeah.
We don't know what time it is. We don't know what the score is. People in the stands are kind of like, are we ahead or are we behind? And then there's an argument that breaks out.
We look like we're doing okay. In Australian rules, I kicked a goal or I got a try or a touchdown or whatever. And it's like, and then it doesn't register anywhere. And he goes,
oh, yeah. It didn't mean anything.
Exactly.
There's no acknowledgement, no feedback.
And there's also no way to clearly know who to promote.
Right.
Or who is performing or who isn't. It's really...
Well, and then really you don't have a game.
You can't play
if you're looking for fun in a game, fun at work, you have to know what is the game, what's the score?
Yeah.
Are we winning? Or are we losing?
Do I need to improve myself? You know,
Right.
am I scoring as well as last week?
Yeah.
Do I need to change what I'm doing?
Yeah, Vwork people want to win,
Yes.
but they have to know the score.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is one of the biggest problems and reasons a Vwork person would leave is the result was not clearly defined and it was not clearly monitored, and they just kind of got disinterested and just left the company.
That's right. And if you're a person, this might not even be the manager's fault, right? It might go further up. But if the manager is trying to manage a team and there's 3 people and someone is producing stellar results and they don't get acknowledged,
Right.
or they don't get opportunity to grow and produce more, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to find a better opportunity where there's more challenge. Or you could have someone who's maxed out in a certain role, right? I'm sure you've had people like this.
Oh, totally.
You know, they come on board, they start here, then they're really good. So just Vwork. So up they go. And before we know it, they're the general manager or the office manager or something like that. Now, if you don't have clear roles or clear recognition of production of value, they might not get that opportunity. Of course, off they go.
Right. And you know, I talk about this in the book. If you've lost a good employee and you're upset about it, I mean, how's the saying go? If you got one finger pointed at somebody else, there's 3 pointing back. You know, these 3 are pointing back here. The first thing you have to do is take a look here. And if somebody left for a better opportunity, then why didn't you know that they wanted to advance? Why were they feeling squashed? Why did they look, well, you know, here comes the owner's son and they think they're going to be promoted. And then all of a sudden the owner's son graduates college and he gets, okay, well, it's a family business, but then that should have been communicated to a good employee. Like, hey, you know, so the communication breaks down between the CEO, the senior managers and executives, and the best employees. And the Vwork people, they want to advance. They want the future. They want more responsibility. They want a bigger game. And you'll always find those people, those Vwork people, like the lady I had on the phone, no way do I want that headache. But that's fine. We love them. But then the ones who want to advance into management needs to know that. And if you don't know that about your best employees, then that's shame on you. Really.
Yeah. And if you have a heart-to-heart conversation with most top management or CEOs, they'll agree. Totally. After they've got over it, you know, it's like, yeah, I know it's up to us. So if you don't have clarity, people it's just create. And this is an organizational reason for extra work as well. If you don't have clarity in your roles, responsibilities, who does what, where it goes, things like that, who is responsible, who isn't, you know, things like that, it just is so muddy and it creates all those extra bits of work. Like, you know, did you do that? Or was it's your job, wasn't it? Right. And it falls through the
Nobody
crack.
knows.
Nobody knows.
But that creates extra work.
It creates extra work.
And that drives Vwork people crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
Totally.
And if management doesn't really let them fix it or help them fix it, it definitely, you know, can disgruntle people. Yeah.
Well, Oisín, this has been awesome. And it's really cool. You know, you're from the Southern Hemisphere and I'm from the Northern Hemisphere. And I don't know, we're 24 hours apart by airplane. But it's like we are almost soulmates with what we agree on and what we've figured out over our decades in business. And I just love the simplicity that you bring to hiring. So tell the folks, tell the viewers how they could find out a little bit more about your Vwork system and how you could maybe even help them.
Sure. All right. So you can go to vworkteam.com and you can find out all about it. I've got questionnaires there and various tests. And what I can say about this system, it's a bit of a new idea because the area of personnel is sort of like a real problem for a lot of people.
Very much.
You know,
and very complex.
It's been made.
I ran across an executive for a company and they have all these tests, 300-400 question tests. And then you get this very complex chart and it's just kind of like, oh my gosh. And he's going through the chart and the test, oh, this means this. And you're just kind of like, you just want to fall asleep. Yeah. It's way too complicated. So I love your system.
That's right. And that's a lot of the feedback. Yeah. That there's too much, you know, psychobabble and too much complexity and these things. People just want simple solutions that anyone can do. You don't need to do 4 years of study. So with the Vwork system, the Vwork hiring system, you can actually learn all of that. And there's basic principles to all sorts of things like how do you write an ad that attracts Vwork people, for example? And most ads are written wrong.
And they can get this information on your website.
Yeah, vworkteam.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's for example, and different things like what questions you ask in an interview. We've touched on some of them.
Yes.
They cut through the mask. Yes. Cut through that thing and find out who you're really dealing with.
That's awesome.
All the way through to how do you get them on board so they have the best opportunity to produce Vwork and also all the way through to just actually on the job, done, working, produced.
Love it.
Producing. So
Love
it is very comprehensive.
So they go to your website, they can get a lot of the basics, and then they can roll with it from there.
Yeah, you can inquire if you want more information.
Good.
And
good. And they can speak with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have that chance.
Yes, you do. Currently, you do.
Okay, good. So before we end off,
yes,
I know that let's talk about the book for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your copy this week. I know you're nearly done with it already. Mm-hmm. But why don't you tell the folks, because I really value your opinion. You've been in business for a long time. And so what have you gotten so far out of the book?
Well, it confirms everything that I know works.
So we're both geniuses.
Yes, that's good. We say so, right?
I couldn't resist.
Why not? But all genius aside, no, really, I've dealt in over 50 industries. Mm-hmm. Over a long time, and I can tell you it's the simple things that work, and everything that I've found worked is in this book and covered beautifully. It's nice. Really, really well written.
Thank you.
And it really does hit the key points that if you don't have these things in place, all the most complicated IT systems and this and that and all sorts of things you can do don't work.
It's not going to work.
Including hiring.
Right.
Actually, if you have to click, so it's really on the money.
Thank you.
It really is.
Well, I'm really happy with the book. And I'm really pleased that you can kind of see the path that I've taken with it. And I tried to keep it simple. And there are exercises. There are a PDF download that you can get at funatworkthebook.com. And you can do the practical exercises. And I'll tell you this, where Oisín and I are really kindred spirits. It's about results.
Yep.
It's just about results. It's no fun taking money from a client and not getting a result. So we are both just very results driven. Mm-hmm. So we're going to end off here. Go to funatworkthebook.com and you can buy our #1 bestseller. It was launched this week and we launched as the #1 bestseller on new releases. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for your visit, and we'll definitely be doing this again.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks. See you again soon.